talking about the 2020 debut album, Dreper Meg, by Mexico City-based self-described gothic rock and darkwave band The Funeral Medieval. My faithful viewers may remember me bringing this one up in my top albums of 2020 video, but whether or not that applies to you, you're going to get a big, fun new description here, all the same. I cannot seem to find anything about the band itself other than pictures I usually have these four individuals whose names I do not know. From their one music video, it appears that this one is the bassist, this one is the lead singer, this one is the keyboardist, and this one is the guitarist. Because I know nothing about them personally or the band's history, we are going to fully focus on this album alone. It was released on Bandcamp, both on the artist's page and through Peruvian post-punk label In Club Records, which I bought mine from because that's where you can get it on cassette tape. Before we get any further into this video, I would like to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe for more content about Latin American goth music. Be sure and watch until the end if you want to know the secret emoji to include in your comment. Anyways, while this band does describe itself as gothic rock and darkwave, though elsewhere they call themselves post-punk and gothic rock, whatever, same few subgenres, this particular album describes its influences as including death rock and French cold wave. Yay, that's two of my top three favorite genres. Last week I gave you my other favorite, shoegaze. Now you get both death rock and cold wave. Oh, you fortunate little followers of mine. Sound-wise, the percussion is clearly all keyboard, so we have that sort of simplistic, fast-paced drum machine sound, but the instrumentation overall makes it more complex than what one typically associates with cold wave. In that sense, the cold wave is more of simply an influence, whereas it is more general post-punk or darkwave category, but it is an influence that I appreciate. I would not describe this band as rocking, I would describe them as more of a dancey band, but in what I consider dancey. This is not a typical fun party time with your friends after they've eaten all the candy. This is for after they've had their sleepy time tea for the night, all while doing that meandering thing. Oh, post-punk. The vocals are particularly deep and sort of droned together, described as guttural in the album description. The guitar has that ringing twang that we hear a lot in this sort of music with a sort of dissonance applied to it, though it is kept more as a rhythm instrument rather than the predominant instrument. The bass, my personal favorite instrument, is also pretty background, though not as prevalent as one might expect from a post-punk album, mostly keeping that mumbly back and forth sound. The predominant instrument here is keyboard. There are some of those more general electronic sounds, but something I find more noteworthy is how often it is put on the pipe organ setting, quite suiting the band's name, giving us a good funerary feel. I wish I could give you more information about the lyrics, but they are not listed, and I honestly cannot understand what he's saying. I have a few hints based on song titles. I see we have a few mythological references, with one song called Ra, presumably after the Egyptian god of creation, and another piece called Yautzin, which is after the Aztec god of hell. You may notice I called it a piece rather than a song, as there are no words, so it is not sung, therefore it is not a song, it is merely a piece of music, though still quite entertaining nonetheless, even without words. There are a few cross-cultural references in song titles, one called Malheur, the French term for misfortune, and another one being Sofferenze dell'anima, Italian for suffering of the soul. Whether or not those languages show up in the songs, I cannot tell, but it is interesting to have that here. I wonder if that is connected to the cold wave influence, as France and Italy are thought of as the countries where that subgenre was the most prevalent back in the day. We also have songs called Ansiedad, anxiety, depression, odio, hate. So it appears that there's a theme of negative emotions, typical of the genres reflected. Like I said, this is a dancey album, but is not your typical fun party. For what it's worth, I think talking about these negative emotions and expressing them in art is an important step in dealing with them. Most of the songs in the album are pretty short. The longest one is just under 4 minutes, and most of them are around 2 to 3 minutes. I don't think that's a good or bad thing particularly, but it is a good counterpoint when people complain that goth music is too long. Not everything is Bela Lugosi's Dead or the extended cut of This Corrosion. We have some short songs too, and the songs on this album are an example of that. So that's this album. I think it was quite a promising debut from The Funeral Medieval, and I look forward to whatever they come up with next. If you want to follow the Funeral Medieval, I have their social media links listed in the bio below, including a link to the In Club Records release of the album. The song featured in this video was Adimensiona. If you've watched this far, leave a comment with the cup of tea emoji. If you want to hear more about goth music from Latin America, I have my link tree with all my social media accounts linked in the description below. Until next time, bye now.